Hi, thanks for tuning in to this video. So this is kind of like part 2A. In part 2, I went through the editing matrix, all this bit here. One bit I didn't cover was the division section because I kind of felt that sort of needed its own video because it can get a little bit complicated. Well, in my mind, it can get a bit complicated anyway. So I thought I'd do a separate video on it. So we will start with a clear pattern. So to clear the pattern, I'm going to hold this cross down here. I'll go through this in a later video on editing, but anyway, you hold cross, double tap on pattern, and we've got a completely clear pattern. So the default setting on division is 16th or 16, so 16th notes. So that's the normal kind of setting. So that will give us one bar across our 16 pads at the bottom. So 4 steps is one beat, so basically meaning we're in standard 4/4 time, and you know, most of the time you're probably going to be using that that division, but there are lots of other options if you want to go into weird time signatures. So obviously there is one beat, so 1 2 3 4 is one beat. There's your second beat, 1 2 3 4, third beat, 1 2 3 4, fourth beat. So that would give us a 4 to floor kick pattern. Okay. I'll go with that kick drum. It's a little less in your face than kit 2. Okay, so fairly straightforward. Now, if you do want to do different time signatures, this would be the setting you'd do it in for time signatures such as 5/4 or 6/4 or 7/4 and so on. And you would do that with the length pattern. What we can have in this mode is up to 64 steps. Well, in any mode you can have up to 64 steps, but if we're in the 16th division setting, that's going to give us 4 bars. So to change that, we would press the length button. If I take that up to 32, that's now going to give us 2 bars. Now if you watch what happens down here, when I press play, you'll see number 1 starts flashing, and then it's flashing on number 2. That's the second bar. So we've not programmed anything in on the second bar. So to do that, we would press this arrow button here. You can see number 1 is lit up, so bar 1 is active. If we go across to bar 2, we could do then the same thing on bar 2. Okay, and so I know we can do that, and that will go up to 4 along there. It'll go 1 2 3 4, and you've got to just select whichever bar you're on. So that's very straightforward and very useful for actually having up to 4 bars worth of pattern, and you can chain patterns together as well, so you can get pretty complex grooves going. So let's say we wanted to go to 5/4 time. So what you've got to really remember is it's just like a maths multiplication thing. We've got 4 slots make up 1 beat. So therefore, if we want to have 5 beats in our bar, we would take our length to 20. Okay, so what will happen is you will get the whole thing on sort of page 1. Page 2, it will only go to here. So if I let that play through, it's playing sort of page 1 here. When it gets to here, you'll see it just goes to 4 and it goes back to 1 again. So that's 1 2 3 4 5. 1 2 3 4 5. If I put a snare drum in just so you can kind of hear it, where should we put a snare drum? We'll go on 1 2 3. We'll go on 3 2 3 4 5. So 1 2. No, that's on 2 in it. In more bit. 3 4 5. 1 2 3 4 5. 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, so 6/4 would be 24 steps, 7/4 28 steps, and so on. So yeah, if you want to create like odd time signatures in that style, then you just add those extra steps in there, say up to 64 steps. We then have let's just take the length back just 16 for now. So if we then go to the 32nd note subdivision, what we've got now is, let's just clear these off. So what will happen is, rather than 4 steps being 1 beat, 8 steps are now 1 beat. So it kind of runs through twice as fast. So if you've only got it set as 16 on the length here, there, but basically you've only got half a bar. So it's like 1 2 1 2 1 2. Okay, so if you put a kick drum there and there, it'd be 1 2 1 2. So to get a complete bar, you would need to take your length up to 32. Let's get rid of those because I got those in from before. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So for this one, you can only have 2 complete bars because it's the whole system's kind of running through twice as fast. You're probably thinking, well, what's the point of that? Well, obviously, it gives you the option of being able to put 30-second notes in, which is very useful for, you know, kind of like trap hi-hats and fast drum fills and so on. So let's just put a closed hi-hat in. So if we just go with like, so every other one of these is now going to be the equivalent of a 16th note in normal 4/4 time. So if I just play you that. So that gives us the option to do these, you know, faster kind of, and we can do the same thing on the snare. Okay, so yeah, that's going to give you the option to do those 30-second notes. Obviously, you have to sacrifice a couple of the bars, but the fact that we can have up to 100 patterns in here that you can save those different patterns in, chain them together, it's not really an issue. So let's go back down. I'm just going to clear the pattern again. We've then got 2 different options for sort of creating triplets. So the first one is, if we go all the way to the left, we get 3/4. So it's basically 3/4 time, which is 3 beats in a bar. So what happens now is 3 steps will be 1 beat. Okay, so there would be, hang on, let's go to take that back to there. So there would be beat 1, there would be beat 2. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Well, if I count it through, it'd be like 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. Okay, and that would go up to 12 steps, would give us 1 bar. Now, the thing you've got to watch within here, it doesn't automatically reduce the length down. If I play it and my length is still on 16, okay, we get this kind of bit of silence at the end because we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, a bit of silence. So to get, if you want just normal triplets, you need to take your length down to 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so if I put some hi-hats in, you'll kind of hear the triplets coming out. Let's just put the snare in as well, which will go there and there. No, it won't. It'll go there and there. Oh, what am I doing? It's there. If we put then just hi-hats in all the way through. Okay, you can hear that 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, and so on. Okay, so that's how you would just get like a single bar of triplets. Now, what you got to watch out with this bit is, again, we can have up to 64 steps. So if you took it up to 60 steps, that's actually going to give us now 5 bars based on this division, because 12 steps is only taking up 1 bar. If you wanted to go to 2 bars, what you got to watch out for is, because it doesn't kind of chop it off there, it carries on. So 2 bars is 24. Okay. So what will happen is, you'll see we have a little bit on the 1 and the 2. So there's your first page. If we go to the second page, okay, it's only going to go up to 8, like the first bit there. Okay, so it doesn't like do first 12 on page 1, first 12 on page 2. It carries on. So what will happen is, if we're going back into the kick drum, so there's beat 1, beat 2, beat 3, beat 4. Okay, so in the second bar, we would be beat 1, beat 2, beat 3, beat 4. Okay, so if we play that. Okay, so that's where it can get a little bit confusing on, because it just kind of extends it on. So you've got to just work your numbers out a little bit, which took me a while to sort of get my head around, but that's probably just me being thick. But yeah, it does kind of do that thing. So if we wanted to carry on then with filling the hi-hats in up to there, because it's trying to work out, obviously, which numbers your snare drum is on. So sometimes it's a little bit of a trial and error. So sometimes it's easy to go to the kick, because you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So step 16 is beat 2 of the second bar. So that's where your second snare would want to go. And then you would want to be on, so that's beat 3, and that's beat 4 is on 6 on the second page. So you'd go there, and hopefully, missing a few hi-hats somewhere, but there. Okay, so that's one of the bits where it does get a little bit confusing on your triplety patterns. Right, let's clear this one out. One left to go. The final subdivision is 6/8 time. So this is kind of like in the same way as the 32nd notes and the 16th note division. So when you go for the 32nd note division, which we covered earlier, the whole kind of system runs through twice as fast. This is the same thing with triplets. So what happens now is 6 steps is 1 beat. So let's go back to our kick drum. So there would be beat 1. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So beat 2 would start on 7. So 12 steps, if we took our steps down to 12, now that's only going to be half a bar. So we need it to be on 24 to make it a complete bar. So it's going to have that weird overlap thing again that we covered last time. So again, we can only have now 2 complete bars on this because of the system running through at that sort of speed. So it's now going to go 1, 2. Okay, so this is how we're going to do 16th note triplets. So beat 3, so there is beat 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Beat 3 is going to be here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go on to page 6, page 2, sorry, 5, 6. And beat 4 is going to be there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it will finish on 8 again. Okay. So if you now put for the hi-hats in, we can get then these 16th note triplets. So and if we bring the snare drum in again, you've got to remember your beat 2 is on 7 on the first page, and beat 4 is on 3 on the second page. That's for your snare drum. So your snare drum would go on 7, and I can't remember what I said. Was it 2 or 3? Can't remember. No, yeah, 3. Okay, so that's how you're going to get 16th note triplets on the hi-hat. Okay, if I slow that down, it's like 1 triplet and triplet, 2 triplet and triplet, 3 triplet and triplet, 4 triplet and triplet. Okay, so that gives you those options on your subdivisions there. So I hope that makes sense. It's pretty straightforward in the 16 and the 32. It's the weird one in the 3/4 and the 6/8 where it doesn't split each page into a bar. It just carries on. So yeah, just got to watch out for that bit. Once you get your head around it, it sort of makes sense. And it's just really remembering which numbers each beat is on as you go through each page. So I'm going to end this one here. Thanks for watching this one. We'll cover the other sections. We've got the editing section up here and then the performance section down here in future videos. I'll also do a video on the software editor, which is very useful. A bit of software that goes with this. So usual things. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share the videos around. If you want to support the channel, then consider supporting my Patreon account, which there are 2 tiers, $1 a month or $3.50 a month, which will get you some free stuff. I will eventually get around on there as well to put in some of the patterns on here. I'll make some patterns and banks and stuff, and I'll stick those on there. Also similar kind of thing with the Uno synth. And as the year progresses, more and more stuff will go on there, sound packs and samples and so on. Loads of free stuff. So yeah, if you want to consider supporting the channel, then click on there's a link in the description, and there'll also be an information card will pop up somewhere on the screen around here. Somewhere. Yeah. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next part. Cheers.